Mr. Mack-Poole, 3-minute history, the structure of Elizabethan society. Let's do this. Now, what is curious about every society is that it always assembles itself into a hierarchy, and the Elizabethan society was no different. So when Elizabeth comes to power in 1558, there's one big central idea that dominates why there should be a hierarchy. So this is essentially a religious idea that from God all the way down to plants and stones, there's a hierarchy of this world. And as you can see, after gods and angels, there is the monarch. So this is a way that society was kept quite rigid, and it was believed that everyone had their place in a cosmic order of society, and to try and go above one's station was to go against God's divine plan, God's great chain of being. Some people call the great chain of being the divine right of king as well, which shows that monarchical rule was ordained by God, therefore could not be questioned. It also stopped a lot of social mobility during this time, so some people with genuine merit and talent couldn't rise through the ranks. Obviously, there was a governmental structure for Elizabeth as well. So when she came to power, she instituted a Privy Council. This is the political nerve centre, as it's written there. This was the governmental body, the executive, which made governmental decisions for England. It was mainly made up of Protestant nobles. In particular, William Cecil, 1st Baron Burghley, was Elizabeth's chief advisor, the Secretary of State, until 1573. This was a very important role. Obviously, if you're Elizabeth's chief advisor, you give her the chief advice. Other important Protestants, like Robert Dudley, for instance, were also on this Privy Council, and he was made Master of the Horse. Just so you know, Parliament, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, were not important. Elizabeth rarely convened them during her reign. There was also a landowning hierarchy, all the way from the monarch, who owned 17% of all the land in England, all the way to the poor and vagrants, who we know there was a huge problem with during Elizabeth's reign, who owned nothing. So the one exception in this scale of landowning, in terms of social mobility, were yeoman farmers. Yeoman farmers, if they worked hard, may rise to the gentry. But aside from that, there's very little social mobility in Elizabethan England because of the great chain of being. And with that, that's the end of this video.